So some terms we'd like to go over before we move on. Language brokers are children of families who translate and interpret for their parents and other individuals. Language brokers straddle two or more languages and cultures. Brokers as a verb means to arrange or negotiate. Broken, an adjective, describes having been damaged, describes feelings of despair, and can be used to describe speaking clumsily.
Two Brokers, a poem by Rebecca and Linda, about Rebecca, Linda, and more brokers out there in the world. Somewhere inside her is broken. The world splits into two. She is broken where her Chinese begins, her treasure, her love that reaches out from her to her parents.
Somewhere inside her is broken, the world sliced into two. She's broken where her English begins. Her life, or her always inaccurate self-expression, making her feel smaller, worse.
She was a proud foreigner and speaks and thinks in fluent English.
She was a diffident mainlander. Chinese is her only weapon of communication.
We are very different people. Our political views, parents, passports, and experiences. Born a sea apart, and even though we shared a city for almost a decade growing up, one went to international schools, drinks, and knows where to dine.
One went to mainstream Chinese schools. Her grades were once the canopy of her world.
We speak different languages, one English and the other Chinese.
But the English speaker wants to master Chinese.
The Chinese speaker came to America. Two tortured souls, struggling to find themselves in a foreign language, secretly doubting if their best friends here will ever see who they really are. Are we the same when we are uttering English as we are when speaking Chinese? I once heard people say, I think I am more matured when I'm speaking my mother tongue. Is it the same for me?
We might share the same feelings, but we will never know. Worlds rich with feelings erased by our divide. I am more than the words I have.
We are language brokers, brokering cultures and space, speaking broken languages, trying to assimilate.
But to where do we belong?
Inside my body, I carry two worlds. Inside me, the east meets the west. Nebulous thoughts wafting in the night sky, the two worlds crushed in, pushing thin, leaving me breathless, confused. Too many responsibilities and too many voices, all speaking together. Where is my beginning and where is my end?
The tongue I dream in is different from the tongues of the two people who gave me the right to dream. They cannot hear what I cannot say. It never felt like we could co-create. What do we call this? Betrayal or an ungrateful daughter?
I learned English when I was so young. It wasn't my choice to become the broker I am. My parents, who once looked across the ocean, saw 1,000 neon lights dreamlike at night, and mistook the sparks as joy.
English is a language of power that puts me on a pedestal, a stratum my own parents can never reach. These steps that my parents have granted me, when they cause our downfall in the end, will the pathologists call this sacrifice or suicide?
Our parents, none of them know their daughters in and out, separated by structures of education and walls of hegemonies larger than our control.
My own mother, the strongest person I know, is intimidated by the authority English and America holds. Traveling with her recently, I hear her fear every time she speaks.
My friend, the sweetest person I know, feels fraudulent in her own identity. Deep inside, she is broken by the two languages she wants to speak. Being around her recently, I hear her fear every time she speaks. Why do we share the same sentiment and pain? For her, Chinese is her bloodline, her attachment to her parents, and admiration and ache for her old ancestry.
For her, Chinese is her longings, her past, her home, and those beautiful square characters, her friends and childhood.
The same sentiment, the same eagerness to fit in, bring together two different people. Two out of millions of brokers in the world.
We are language brokers. We barter our dreams and fears. We break things down. We break ourselves down to bridge our bicultures together. Language brokers. We break down barriers, stereotypes, shame. We break down, and sometimes the fear that binds our lips.
The broken bridge gives me the most pain, advantage, and joy. But there is one thing I cannot be sure. Is this joy bittersweet? Or perhaps it is a laugh, knowing all, with coffee 50% and sugar all that's left.
When negotiating these worlds, interpreting for ourselves and our parents, what did we lose and what did we gain? These questions are too big or perhaps too small, and we don't know where to start.
我是刘子霞
My name is Rebecca.
I am Linda.
我是吕彩优。于千万人之中，两个断了的人。Two out of millions of brokers in the world. I am 彩优。